Good afternoon, Pokesports. It's your host, Mike, and today I play with two Pokemon on the field because we're talking about Roaring Moon in VGC. Roaring Moon is the newest Paradox Pokemon that's taking the world by storm. Alongside Iron Valiant, it is the one Paradox Pokemon that isn't really considered a Paradox Pokemon. It has a higher base stat total than the rest of them, and it's just kind of there as a really, really good Pokemon. And so I figured we're going to go through a couple of sets today to go and see what kind of sets you should be using in VGC with Roaring Moon. So here are our sets for Roaring Moon. Now, among all of these sets, there are going to be a lot of things that stay the same. Its ability Protosynthesis is always going to be there because what else is it going to be? Its item Booster Energy is what I suggest using just among Roaring Moon in general. You'll always want to have that in there. Reason being is because that boosts the highest stat that you have on your Pokemon. So for Roaring Moon, it will boost its attack by, I believe it's 30% for everything that isn't speed, and then speed is boosted by 50% if that's the highest, but don't worry about that. For that reason, I've set the attack EVs to 252 and the speed EVs to 252 as well. But if you really wanted to, you can make speed the highest stat that you have. Personally, I think that having more attack is way more valuable, even if you get a little bit less attack. If you want speed, then you can really just, set up a Tailwind. And that's actually going to be in one of the sets here. So I will show you that later. We have quite a bit of weaknesses and quite a bit of resistances. So often you're going to want to be leveraging Terastallization on your Roaring Moon. For this set, we have Flying as your Tera type, and the reason being is because in the move set, you have Crunch, Acrobatics, Dragon Claw, and Protect. What's the flying move around that? You already know, it's Acrobatics. Acrobatics is a move that I believe it's 55 power, but it doubles if you are not holding an item. Right? So if you use your booster energy when you first send out your Pokemon, you are not holding an item anymore. Then you use Acrobatics, you have 110 base power, you Terastallize, now you have 110 times 1.5, which is another 55, that's 165, 165 base power on your moves. That's pretty amazing. Plus you still get the stab on Crunch and Dragon Claw, your other two super powerful moves. In VGC, we want to put Protect. In singles, you might want to put something like Earthquake or Dragon Dance, something to boost your attack and your speed even more, because those are the two things that you really want to focus on, your attack and your speed. So again, Roaring Moon, you're going to Terastallize into Flying. You don't have to worry about ground types. You don't have to worry about fighting types as much. And all of the weaknesses that you already have, save Ice, you're just not weak to them anymore. So now you've tossed away your dragon and your dark weaknesses while still having the same type attack bonus within them. Moving on to our second set, that's actually going to be with Dragon Terastallization. And again, like I said, the ability, the item are staying the same, the EVs are staying the same. It's going to be like that in the third set as well, spoiler alert. But for this one, instead of the Acrobatics and the Dragon Claw, we're going to instead want to put Tailwind and Breaking Swipe. Tailwind is, again, for that speed control, not only for your Roaring Moon, but for your entire team. And then Breaking Swipe is just a great move. It attacks both Pokemon on the other side of the field. It does, I believe, 60 power worth of damage or something like that. But it also lowers their attack stat by one stage. It's a really good utility move that still does damage. And for that reason, you can actually Terastallize to make it do even more damage, right? And then Crunch obviously is just a great dark type move. You always want to have coverage for your own types inside your Pokemon there. So that is the second of the sets. Moving on to the third set. This one's a little bit of an interesting one. This one is a lot like your Flying Terastallization set, but instead we're going with Steel. And the reason we're going with Steel is because you have a lot of nasty weaknesses as Roaring Moon, with being 2 times weak to fighting, being 4 times weak to fairy, your bug weakness, your ice weakness, your dragon weakness. They're all things that you really don't want your Pokemon to have afflicted with. So Steel actually kind of flips the script. Right? Now suddenly your fairy weakness is a fairy resistance. Now fighting's still a weakness, but you're now not as weak to a lot of these types as you once were. And nice enough that Roaring Moon does get a nice coverage move in Iron Head. So you can still have that 1.5 times damage on Iron Head, on Dragon Claw, and on Crunch. All very powerful moves, all of them. And plus with that booster energy, you get a free 30% on your attack. That's basically a life orb forever. Now I will say, here's something that I will say about Roaring Moon in general, among all of these three sets, is that Sun is not often your friend, okay? If you have the Sun out when you send out your Roaring Moon for the first time, your booster energy will not be used. It will trigger with the field effect of the Sun. Now that can come from your side, that can come from the enemy's side, but if you do have your booster energy not used, that can be pretty okay for this set and the second set. But that first set where you need your item to be used, that can really hurt you, right? Because suddenly your acrobatics are only doing 55 damage worth of 55 power worth of damage. So make sure that the Sun's not out, or just make sure that you're kind of working around that. If you do use Roaring Moon on a team that has Sun in it, maybe you want to go and take off booster energy, switch it for something like a Life Orb, and get another 30% damage. The nice thing about these Paradox Pokemon is that, you know, booster energy, it works in such a unique way that it boosts your normal stats, doesn't give you a +1, doesn't do any of that kind of stuff, but it also works inside the Sun. So you can replace that item and kind of have your cake and eat it too, kind of double dip into that. Anyway, so that is Roaring Moon. Let me know what you think about these sets in the comments down below. At the beginning of any new meta, people will always try and leverage the clearest stats that they can find. And for Roaring Moon, its stats are super, super clear. Really high attack, really high speed, and it has HP and special defense to kind of keep itself alive while it uses that attack and speed. So in these sets, I say just really, really lean into it, find out what your weaknesses are in your team, and then adjust your Roaring Moon to your taste, right? You can have all kinds of different Tera types, all kinds of different attacks, just to fit what goes on here. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, leave a comment down below to say that you enjoyed it, or to say what kind of Pokemon you want to see next, because we plan on going through a lot of them, but it's up to you to tell us what kind of priority we should put things in. All right, well, I've been Mike. I play with 2 Pokemon on the field today, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.